Hi, I'm Rakesh Singh and welcome you on this jQuery video session. Thank you so much for joining Rakesh Technologies video session. This is the radio button examples using jQuery functionality part 2, in which we are going to discuss another most important example to work with the group of radio buttons. So in this video session we'll discuss following example. What the example we have? I hope you have been observed for online ticket booking system, like a bus ticket booking system, right? Flight ticket booking system. Example: redbus.in, makemytrip.com, yatra.com website. In that website, I hope you have observed this kind of user interface, where there is a available option, two radio button. One is a ticket want to book for one way, or ticket want to book for two way. By default, one way is selected. It means nothing but if one way is checked radio button, then return date text box for entering the date, it is a disabled, means you cannot enter the word return date. As soon as you select two way radio button option, it means you want to book the ticket for journey and return also. So if you choose a two-way radio option, so this return date must be enabled. So user can enter the journey date, from what date they want to start journey, and when they want to return back to their source place, that is return date. And again, if user decide no, I don't want to for two-way ticket booking right now, I want only for one-way ticket booking. So as soon as they select first radio option, one way, so this must be disabled. Means on the changing of one way to two way, or two way to one way, the return date text box in which user can enter the date, that must be enabled or disabled. So what do you mean about this example? We have to work with the what functionality? Change functionality of radio button selection. So as soon as the radio button is going to be changed their selection, then some action to be performed. As well as to make you to understand a more easy way, I also want to display below this right here should display just a message: you have booked a one-way ticket, or you have been selected one-way ticket. If user select two-way, then immediately display you have been chosen or you have been selected two-way ticket booking. Just a message display, so that we can understand whether on change of the one way to two way or two way to one way, any functionality getting performed or not, except of nothing but this return date to be disabled or to be enabled also. So how we'll do that? Let's move to Visual Studio development environment. So we are going to Visual Studio. In this, I have one page, the name called HTML page.html. And in this page I have been used some user interface. You can observe here, book ticket heading, tabular format. I have a radio option, value one way, name is ticket is a group, and the text by using label element associate with the for attribute id value of the radio element one way. Second radio option, and similar to that, the text two way, value here two way. And below row we have the heading journey date, one input type equals to date, means it is going to represent a text box in to enter the date. id txt journey date, return date, one input element type date, id txt return date, and one div I have taken with the idea div result, and div is going to be close. So this is the just HTML elements are placed in our HTML document, that is going to be display like this at runtime. In user interface comes like this. What the first requirement is, as soon as the HTML page loaded into the browser window, then by default the first radio button must be checked, and this must be disabled. Which one? Return date must be disabled. Not using the markup code and property defined. I want to perform this functionality at runtime as soon as document gets ready using jQuery. So for this particular purpose, Here there is a library reference is defined, then we have the script in which we have registered the ready event in order to perform any functionality as soon as document is ready. And in this, what will do that? The simple requirement, as soon as document ready, the first radio button by default to be checked. So dollar of particular one radio element. So what required? Hash RDB1, this element, this input type radio ID, what is RDB1. This radio button should be appear as a checked by default. So dot, there is a method called prop, the property, what is it? Checked, comma, what is it? True. So as soon as document ready, this radio element is going to be what? Checked by default. And if this is checked, then return date must be by default what? Disabled. So dollar of the return date, it is a text box, hash txt, what is it? Return date dot prop of, there is a property called disabled, and make it what is it? True. Once disable property set to true, it is going to make this text box to be disabled, means user cannot choose any date or user cannot type any date into the text box. So by default I want, as soon as my page is ready in a browser window, then first radio button must be checked and this must be what is it? Disabled. Txt return date is nothing but this one. Now the what next requirement is, if user change the selection of radio button one way to a two way, so as soon as two way is get selected, then txt return date must be enabled. Now you observe, let me run first of all this much, how much I have done it. Save this page, run into the browser, run into the what is it? Browser. So Chrome browser I am going to use, right, run in the browser. So once if I run this browser, you can observe over here. Fine. What is coming here? One way it's selected, yes, checked. This journey it is enabled. If I click on this, is going to show the date picker calendar, from which user can choose any particular date, on what date they want to book ticket for journey. It is HTML5 control supported by this browser. But if user going to what? This return date, click on this. If see I am clicking, trying to click, nothing is going to be open. I can't type, no cursor blinking here because this was disabled. So this not required right now. But user has decided no, I want to book a ticket for both. One way also, two, nothing but return date also, nothing but what is it? Two way. So as soon as if I select two way, it is selected. So whenever this is getting checked, this must be what is it? Enabled. And this is already what? Deselected, because this is available in what? One group. These two available into one group. So in this group anyone can be checked. So this is now checked, but on checked only this must be what is it? Enabled. And again if user click on the one way, so this must be what is it? Disabled. So that functionality we supposed to right now. So what we'll do that, we'll come to the development environment. Now here you have to handle the change event for a group of radio button. Whenever the radio button in a group getting change selection, that event is going to fire. Very simple things. So dollar of input colon radio, and the name attribute equals to what is the name? Ticket. Means select all input element type of radio which uses a name attribute equals to what value? Ticket. Nothing but a group of radio button which belongs to ticket group. Right. Dot what is a change event of function. It means I am attaching what? Change event to the all input element type of radio which belong to which group name? Ticket. So we have two radio button, one is a one way, one is a two way, belong to ticket group name. So this change event is attached to both radio element. So whenever any radio element selection getting changed, this event is going to fire. Now in this you have to identify which radio button is selected. So in this event, which radio button selected, that we can fetch by using dollar of this and get their value and check if their value is what? One way, then txt return date text box must be disabled. If selected radio button value is not one way, then by default second, nothing but two way, second one, and in that case that must be what? Enabled. So what will do that? Very simple code you will write. If dollar of this means current element, in the change whichever selected, there is a current element, this dot what is it? Val equals to what is it? One way. Case sensitive, remember. You can observe for each radio element there is a value I have defined here, value one way, and for second radio button value what is it? Two way. So what I am going to write, in this change event, whichever selection change, that element getting using your dollar this represent to one radio element, and their val method, using val method we are getting their value. If their value is equivalent to what is it? One way, it means that is what? Selected by the user. And we know very well, doesn't require to check whether it is checked or not checked. Why? In a group of radio button, whenever selection change, so which one change, that is going to be checked, and previous one going to be what? Unchecked. So if it is one way, then simply you write dollar of what is it? Hash txt return date, right? So you are, if it is a one way, so this txt return date must be what is it? Disabled. Dot prop of what is it? Disabled property, comma what is it? True. Fine. Else part, right, you can have one condition. If dollar of this dot val method equals to, if their value is about two way, if value is what is it? Two way, then going to be happen. If it is a one way, then must be what? Disabled with a true. If user has selected selection change and their value is not one way, so in the case of two way, the txt return date must be what is it? Enabled. So simply what write? Dollar of hash txt return date dot prop of which property? Disabled only, but it must be what now? Enable. So property is disabled. If you want to make disabled, pass true. If you want to make enabled, then pass it what is it? False. So disabled of what is it? False. So this set of code is going to be executed whenever the selection change of a group of radio button by using what? Change event. Even if we don't write this else if condition, only write what is it? Else, then also it works. Because we know that there is only two radio buttons are there. If user has selected one, that is the first one, value is one way, it is going to be disabled. If user selecting second one, is nothing but what? Else part. This is not going to match, then what is disabled to be what? False, nothing but going to be enabled. But the best practice what? Write the condition to check with the what? Value equals to two way or not. So that no confusion comes, this working for which one and that one working for which one. So this set of code working for what? One way, and this set of code working for what is it? Two way. Now save it and come to the browser and just refresh, right? You can observe by default what is it? One way, it's selected, and this is what is it? Return day is what? Disabled. Now if you click on that, nothing is going to be happen. As soon as user now click on what? Two way. So this selection going to be changed. One selection get changed, right? Selection get changed. So here is become enabled, not became enabled. Why? Let's see, any problem is in our code or not. So first of all, what I'll do that, if two way is happening, see the condition is running or not. So here on the change event, dollar of this means current element, their val method what is that? One way, then this one. If two way, then this one. In this case what required here? Check alert of hello, right? So if this condition match, this alert is going to display or not, first check it that. On the change, refresh that. Now click on the what? Two way. Still alert is not coming. Now we will find out this change event is firing or not. So this alert of hello, we'll write over here. So as soon as selection getting changed, this is going to be fire alert hello or not, that we'll see that. Still not coming, means change event is not getting fired. Okay, fine. We'll try to execute with the another browser. I'm trying to execute with the what? Browser Firefox is going to launch the page in a Firefox browser window. So now we'll come to the browser and we'll refresh this page. We'll see that by default this radio button is what? Checked, and this return date is what is it? Disabled. Now user as soon as say I don't want one-way ticket, I want two-way ticket. So they will be selecting the second radio option, two-way. Whenever two-way gets selected, this must be what is it? Enabled. Already it is disabled. So click on this. Yes, it is enabled. Mouse over on this. Click on this. You are able to get the what is it? Date picker calendar, and choose the date on what date you want to return back to the your source place. User say no, I don't want two-way, I want only one way. Again go back to what? One way. As soon as now this selection changed to what is it? One way, this must be disabled. Means if I mouse over, click on this, it should not be open this date picker window. So I just say what is it? One way. I select one way, you can observe that it is become what is it? Disabled. Now you are not able to click to get that. So this is the very simple functionality we are able to do using the what? Change event for the group of what is it? Radio buttons which belong to ticket group. And in this, which radio button selection change getting using what? All of this, and if their val method, using val method getting their value, if their value equals to one way, so this return date text box must be set with what? Disable property true, means it is disabled. If again selection change, if their val method getting the value, their value is not one way, it may be what is it? Two way. If it is a two way, then second same text box is going to apply with the disable property false, means again back to what is it? Enabled. This is what this example. But in this example, I want to add one more functionality to make more clearer to understand whether on selection change this is working properly or not. Already it is working, but add some more functionality. I want what radio option selected by the user that display into what is it? Div result. So if it is a selection of radio element change, and if their value is what? One way, then display into div result. Simply dollar of what is it? Hash div what is it? Result. In this .html display which radio option is selected. So you can display a message simply what is it? One way option is selected, a message. And the same thing you may go to the else part. In the else if, here you can write what is it? Two-way selected. So it is going to be disabled, and this message is going to display into the page, into this div result element. Here this is going to be enabled and going to display two-way option is what? Selected. Just for our confirmation purpose, in real time this line of code is not required. Only this line is enough, because I don't want to display anything. Simply I want to what is it? Disable and enable on the selection change of the group of radio option. Now save it, come to the browser and refresh the page once. After refresh, right, you come to what is a two-way, right? I am going to selection change. So whenever selection change, so you observe that this is what enabled, nothing but we are able to select any date, yes, and as well as below what display? Two-way option is selected. If I say again selection change back to what? One way, so this must be what is it? Disabled, and here display message what? One way option is selected. So you can observe now here click is not going to open, and here message displaying what? One way option is selected. So this is all about today video session, in which we have been discussed one example to work with the group of radio option, and on the selection change some operation to be performed. And in our example, what operation getting performed? Very simple thing, make the return date text box to be disabled and to be enabled based upon the selection of one way ready option and the what is it, two-way ready option. And to make you to more understand clearer whether on selection change is happening or not, I am displaying a one message. If one way selected, display one way option is selected. If the two-way selected, then this must be what, enable and display what two-way option is selected. Thanks for watching Naresh Technologies video session. Keep watching. Subscribe for more video.